Hi everyone, we are currently at anchor in Punta de Mita, which is on the Mexican Gold Coast, and I just kind of wanted to give you an update. We have not posted a video for some time now because once again my computer crapped out on me. This is not the first time this has happened and not the first time that it's kept us from posting videos, but here we are. Anyway, it's working again, and so we're going to go ahead and start posting videos again. What I want to post first, though, before we get back into our sailing videos, is I gave a talk at the monthly Women Who Sail meeting in La Cruz at the La Cruz Marina last week, and I want to share that with you. I was thrilled to be asked to speak at that meeting. I felt like I had some good stuff to share, and I got a lot of positive feedback. I've had several people ask me to go ahead and share the video of that talk, so that's what you're about to see. We're Charlie and LeeAnne, a couple from California who left our cushy suburban life to spend the next several years cruising around the Pacific Ocean on our boat, Juliet. And our little dog, too.
A little bit about our speakers today. So we have LeeAnne, that's on Juliet. Many of you may know her. I was fortunate enough to get to know her because she's a runner, and I'm a runner, and I thought that was really cool to see her out and that she was running these same routes that I was doing. I was pretty impressed, and I was extremely impressed with following a lot of her YouTube channels and what she was sharing about a lot of areas that I've sailed to. And I thought it was really neat how her and her husband would just sit together and engage. He's very quiet. You're very like, no.
Not quiet.
Not quiet, but it's awesome. So I was really excited that I was able to have her speak, and there's a really important reason too, because there was something that had happened that I feel all of us as women should be aware of. And I love how she dealt with it. I think it's something we can all learn today. So thank you for speaking today and sharing this with us. Today we're going to start off with LeeAnne from Juliet.
Thanks, Kat. It's been a long time since I did any public speaking, so that's why I have my phone with me, because I know I'm going to forget what I want to say. So, I guarantee you there are women in this room today who are far more accomplished sailors and experienced cruisers than I am, but we all have our stories about how we got started doing what we're doing, how we just mustered up the guts to do what we're doing, and that's what I want to share with you today is my story and how I got here, some people that helped me along the way, and some things that happened along the way. I had never been sailing before in my life before I met my husband on a blind date on his parents' sailboat in 1981. That's me in the dark hair, and that's my husband at the helm. And in 1984, we got married. In 1985, we bought our first sailboat, which was a Catalina 30. Of course, we took a bunch of time off sailing to raise our two kids. And then when they were fully cooked, we bought the sailboat that we are now on, which is SV Juliet. It's a Mason 44, and that's the sailboat that we're cruising on today. How we got cruising, about 12 years ago, we had joined a yacht club near where we live in Thousand Oaks, California. And one of our first nights there, we were sitting at a table for dinner, and we were near a couple who was talking about how they were getting ready to go cruising around the Pacific Ocean for several years. And I was like, what? People do that? What? So they took off, and she's a great writer. I started following her blog, and the more I followed it, I was like, I have got to do this. This is how I want to live the rest of my life. How do I get going on this? So then they had to come back to go to work. They had just taken a sabbatical from their jobs. We got to know them. In fact, they had no choice. They were going to be friends with us because I was going to pepper them with a bazillion questions about their journey and how they got started and everything that they did to get going. And fun story is, so then we eventually went cruising. Last year, they retired, bought a boat, and they are now back down here, and we're now buddy boating with them. We used to call them our cruising Sherpas, so we are now buddy boating with our cruising Sherpas. One of them is here today, Allison from Flyaway. They are the reason we are doing this. I tell you, you should follow their blog. Eventually, we found the Women Who Sail Facebook page, and that was a break for Alan and Allison, so instead of peppering them with a bazillion questions, I was able to pepper Women Who Sail with a bazillion questions, and that's just some of the questions that I was asking them. And I just got so many wonderful tips and information from this group. It really helped me. Everything from space-saving things for my galley, like collapsing measuring cups and reusable bags, to how to make the bed in my quarter berth, and just all kinds of things. And it was just a huge help to me as we got started. So fast forward, 2019 comes along, we retired, we rented out our house, moved aboard our sailboat, and we started our journey with the Baja Ha Ha in 2019. How many here are Ha Ha graduates? Okay, so you will all recognize this next picture, which is the famous Baja Ha Ha tug of war, which the women always win. So one of the things that we decided we wanted to do when we got started cruising was we decided to have a YouTube channel. We had watched so many YouTube videos to help us get started, and so I thought that it would, hey, I could do that, naively. It's way harder than you think. I have zero background in making videos, so I have to admit that my early videos are kind of cringy for me to watch now. But hey, even Delos had to start somewhere. Their early videos are pretty raw, so I'm just saying. But I did eventually figure out how to put together a decent video, and we now have about 42 episodes, and I will continue to do it. We just do it for fun and to share our journey with our friends and family. I don't monetize it, so you shouldn't be seeing. It's just for fun. Anyway, if you want to find our channel, it's SV Juliet. Feel free to watch it. Okay, so 2019, late in the year, we go ahead and start cruising. We get down to La Paz. We're getting ready to go up to the Sea of Cortez, and we all know what happened in early 2020. COVID happened. So we all have our stories of how we dealt with the early days of the pandemic. Our story is we got trapped in La Paz. We got trapped at Marina de La Paz. We weren't allowed out. We were barely allowed off our boat. We have a little dog. We weren't able to take him for walks other than in a tiny little gravel area. So, and it was getting hotter as summer was coming along, so I was like, get me out of here. So we bugged out, buttoned up the boat, bugged out back to California, spent 6 months isolating in California. And then by October, we realized that the world is not coming to an end. The zombie apocalypse did not happen, and the world is going to learn how to deal with COVID. So we came back down to the boat. We sailed up into the Sea of Cortez and just had a lovely time, and we've been sailing in Mexico ever since. So, shifting gears, one of the things that I really wanted to do as a cruiser was learn how to fish. I have always loved, the food that has tasted best to me has been food that is produced, I produce myself or I grow myself. I think that comes from spending summers down on my great-grandparents' farm in Tennessee, where all the food on the table was food that they grew or produced or raised themselves. So I think that's where that comes from. I always loved having a vegetable garden. That's the vegetable garden in the back of our house in Thousand Oaks. Next. I even raised chickens for a while for their eggs. There's my chicken coop. And next picture is my friend Sandy playing with my chickens. But it's kind of hard to carry a chicken on a boat. And it's kind of hard to raise vegetables on a boat. But what I can do is I can catch fish. So immediately, as soon as we realized we were going to do this, I started learning how, researching how to fish. I bought the Cruiser's Handbook of Fishing, which has been an invaluable help. I researched online, I asked a lot of questions. I bought myself a couple of hand lines. So our very first day out on the Ha Ha, I threw a hand line over, and I caught a couple of fish. In fact, I caught 2 bonitas. My first attempt at filleting them was a pretty bad hatchet job, but they were big enough where I got a couple of meals out of them. And so since then, I've caught a whole bunch more fish and I've really perfected my technique. So I'm doing all of this with a hand line. Just make that clear. I have a rod. I've never learned how to use it. I've caught more bonitas. I've caught yellowtail. I've caught Pacific Sierra. I did perfect a technique for landing Dorado or mahi-mahi. If anybody wants to know what my technique is, I'll be happy to share it with you. I don't have time to go into it here. I actually took a course right here in the cruise on how to catch mahi-mahi and how to fillet them last year when we were here, and I really feel like I've got it nailed down. So I'm catching some pretty big ones. Just a few weeks ago, I caught one that was almost as big as me, and I still have half of that thing in my freezer, so I'm having a lot of fun. I'll be happy to share with anybody how I do it. The next thing was for me to learn how to spearfish, because you can catch your food while you're cruising, moving from place to place, but you got to eat even when you're in anchor. So I bought myself a spear gun, and I have been teaching myself how to use it. These 4 beauties were caught just a few weeks ago in Ensenada, Carrizal. Full disclosure, I only caught 2 of those. Allison's husband, Alan, and I went down for a shootout. Fortunately, we did not shoot each other. We caught 2 Cabrillo, I caught 2 Cabrillo, and we had great fish tacos that night. Okay, so my relationship with Women Who Sail has now shifted gears. I no longer am asking questions. I'm now able to offer some of my own wisdom and my own answers to questions, which I do when I feel like I've got something of value to offer. The usual, typical things like the first moment you think of the word reef. And, one-pot meals, of course, are your friend on a passage, and don't get there-itis. And, solar ovens, get a solar oven. I don't know how I survived without my solar oven. And a few more esoteric things, like when you're living in a marina, and you're always using the marina showers, make sure your shampoo bottle is closed every time you put it back in your shower bag. Because I've had that bite me a few too many times, and it's a mess. Other marina life things, when you're out for your morning stroll in a marina and you see someone walking quickly towards the clubhouse, that is not the time to stop them and talk about the weather. That's the marina morning shuffle. Another esoteric one, if you're going to invite your in-laws over to your boat, make sure that you clean off the footprints in your cabin above your bed. That was a bet, whether I would include that. Do I win? Okay, so the point is, Women Who Sail as a group is just a wonderful community of sailors. We are able to talk to each other about anything. We're able to ask any question, and we don't have to fear being laughed at or ridiculed or shamed or told, don't you worry your pretty little head over that, let your husband worry about that kind of stuff. And this is not to bash these other sailing groups, but I think we've all kind of experienced some of that in some of the other sailing and cruising Facebook pages where we ask questions. And it's not to man bash, it's just to say that when women are given the opportunity to support each other, they generally come out in spades and do it. And that brings me to a topic that I want to share with you. Some of you might remember, if you follow the Women Who Sail Facebook page, a couple of months ago, I made a post about something that happened to me in Zihuatanejo. I was assaulted. And short version of the story is, as Kat mentioned, I'm a runner, and I try to get out every day that I can and run, 5 or 6 miles. And I found in Zihuatanejo a wonderful paved bike path that runs through some beautiful residential areas and winds behind some businesses and parks. But there's this one section where you go underneath an overpass with the main highway above you, and it's kind of dark, and it's the only point of that whole run where I felt it was a little sketchy. I should have listened to my gut that I shouldn't have gone in there, but I did. And on one of my runs, I was about halfway through the tunnel when all of a sudden from behind me, I felt very strong arms wrap around me in a bear hug. And I knew instantly, I couldn't see him, but I knew instantly what he intended to do, because he started trying to drag me off to the side, over a wall, and started trying to claw off my sports top. So I knew that nobody could hear me, there was nobody around, nobody could see me, there was too much noise overhead for anybody to hear my screams, just traffic over there. So I knew that I had no choice but to save myself, and nobody was going to save me but me. So I went crazy, screaming, kicking, spitting, clawing. I was kicking his shin so hard I know I drew blood. I know I connected with his testicles at least a couple of times. And I just wanted him to think it was going to be more trouble than it was worth. And I got that because years ago, decades ago, I took a self-defense course. Now, I don't remember everything from the self-defense course. I know there are techniques you can use to break out of a bear hug, which I couldn't remember at the time. But the thing I did remember is go crazy. Do not give in. I since have learned 70% of women in that kind of situation freeze. It's probably from all these years of being told, calm down, honey. But anyway, that's the one thing I remember from that self-defense course was do not make it easy for him. Go crazy. Do whatever you have to do. And that's what I did. And eventually, he realized that he picked the wrong sweaty old lady to attack, and he just let go of me and ran off. So, thank you. So I wanted to share this story for a number of reasons. First of all, to encourage my sailing sisters and anybody who heard my story or read my story to take a self-defense course. To be aware that this can happen anywhere. This happened to me in Zihuatanejo, but this could happen around the corner from your own house. And just if something like that does happen, do not go quietly. So I typed up my whole story and I posted it on the Women Who Sail Facebook page. I was nervous about that. I have to admit, I didn't know what kind of reactions I would get. Were people going to accuse me of oversharing or feel uncomfortable with it? I was overwhelmed with the amount of support, hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of messages from women going in there telling me that, telling me what a badass I am, just overall support, therapists offering to give me a free session with them, people offering me suggestions on how to deal with the trauma that I would inevitably experience, and just not a single snarky or accusatory comment or anything. It was unbelievable, and I just want to thank all of you, anybody here who commented or who might have read my story, from the bottom of my heart for just being there for me. And the interesting thing is, that is in contrast to the reaction I got to the video I posted. What you're looking at here is actually the thumbnail from my video. I did do a video on it, and most of the comments were supportive, but I got some kind of snarky comments, some people accusing me of bad-mouthing Mexico, and I made very clear in my video, this has nothing to do with where it happened. It happened to happen to me in Zihuatanejo. I can't help that. I'm not bad-mouthing Mexico. And some men made some ugly comments. One guy even said, "Who would want to rape your wrinkly old ass?" Well, that guy, the guy who tried to rape my wrinkly old ass. So, I deleted all those comments. But the point is that the Women Who Sail group has just been there for me in spades from the beginning when I first started thinking about this journey, all the way through asking questions all along the way, and then when this happened to me, just the overwhelming love and support I got from all of you, and just thank you. And big thanks to Charlotte Kaufman for starting this group all those years ago. So I'm going to wrap this up with just kind of what our plans are. We had never planned on doing this for more than 5 years. We always had a 5-year plan. The idea was we were going to come down, spend a year or two in Mexico, and then sail off to the Pacific Pedal Jump off to the South Pacific. Well, of course, COVID happened, so that didn't happen, and now here we are, year 3, and it might be too late for us to do that. So, and besides that, we're feeling like we're really loving Mexico, and we did not get enough time in the Sea of Cortez. So in a couple of weeks, we're heading back over to the Sea of Cortez. We're going to finish out this season there and probably do at least another season in Mexico. And because the Sea of Cortez, as you know, has the best sunsets in the world. So we're looking forward to seeing more Sea of Cortez sunsets. And then after that, we don't know. All options are on the table. We might go back home to our house, kick out the renters, and be retired people in our house, dirt dwellers again, or we might keep on cruising. All options are open. We'll go where the wind takes us. And that's all. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed watching my presentation at the Women Who Sail meeting. We are now back to cruising and are currently making our way up the coast to our jumping off point, where we will cross back over the Sea of Cortez to the Baja Peninsula for our spring sailing season. Be sure to subscribe and follow along with us as we continue our cruising adventures. And don't forget to click like